far as the rest of the guitar is concerned, it doesn't hurt at all to lay out where your strings are. Figure out where your strings are based on the fact that we have, what do we got here? Call that 1 point. Let's try this from this side. I got a ruler marked in tenths and inches. Tenths sometimes is a godsend. 0.35. So, calculator. .35, and we've got 4 strings left, so we're going to divide it up into 5 because we need the space. 0.27. So 0.27, 0.27, 0.27, and that's good. And then on the bridge end, we can just measure. So if we start at R1, we've got a, come on, got what looks like 13:30 seconds. So 13. And the reason you want to draw out your strings like this is so you can try and keep the strings coming off the guitar neck as straight of an angle as you possibly can. Frankly, I don't see it as being that critical. It is a great idea to do, but how many acoustics have you seen that didn't have that stayed in tune just fine? Now the other thing is I spend a lot of time drawing my own headstock, and I try to stick with a proportionate one. So this is what I want to use. Like I said, I don't think it's that critical. It's a great idea, but it's not mandatory. But if you were to design your own headstock and you keep that in mind when you're doing something like pulling the strings off of, say, 6 in the side, for example, it's great if you can just line up your tuning machines there. So you'd be like right here, and then your next one, and then your next one, and then your next one. And then that way you can make sure everything stays nice and straight and keep your line in place. You want to avoid doing something crazy like a banana headstock, in all honesty. And another thing you want to avoid doing is using string trees. If you've got to use trees to set your break angle for where your strings are going or anything like that, you're just creating more issues with tuning for later down the road, because what does happen is the string's got to break over this. It's going to break, when you look at the side, it's going to break down for the headstock. And then when you need to add another break, you're just basically adding another thing for it to bind up on when it goes. It's kind of hard to show you, but when it goes, say we've got a tuning machine way out here and we've got to have some kind of post here, it's got to break over that post. We want to avoid a lot of that sort of thing. but my headstock design looks like that, and there's not a whole lot of angle break. And you can see where these two were actually in fairly decent shape. Because by the time you're here and you're here, right? Now the next thing is, with your tuning machines, when you design where they go, when you're drawing it, when you're coming up with basically this, you want to be able to leave a 1/2 inch of meat, 1/2 inch for the center of that hole. That's a minimum. I've got a 1/2 inch here, and that could be like, that's going to be right there. I could bring it in a little bit more, it wouldn't hurt. But when you get less than about a 1/2 inch to the center of the hole for this guy, you're really running into a situation where there's not a lot of wood out here to support it. It takes a dive, something goes wrong, it's strung up, it's under a lot of tension, things break. Don't set yourself up for things to break. All right, now, the next part of our funness. We're going to measure or get a rough measurement of this guy, which is, use the right hand palm, which is, we're going to call it 30/64. No. 20, 30 seconds. I don't know why I was misreading that. I've got my readers on and everything. So, feel free to take notes on your drawing. 20, 30 seconds to bridge. So we're going to start with what's going to be our fretboard fret height. You can start with the fretboard itself, and then you can go in and measure to draw all the fret crown heights, but it's really unnecessary because functionally this line is going to be the same. And then we're going to have our string height, which is normally about the thickness of a quarter. And off the top of my head, I cannot remember that number, but Google can. How thick is a quarter?
1.75 millimeters. According to Wikipedia, it has a diameter of 0.955 inch and a thickness of 0.069 inch, 1.75 millimeters.
And that's why we have the tenths. So over here, we're going to call this our nut end. This is not stupidly critical, but it's not something you want to slack off on. So we have 0.069, so 7. So we're going to go about there. And then we're going to take this guy and put him here. And then draw one here. And this is going to be at 0.069. And then we're going to draw this line. Make sure we carry it out enough. And we're going to go to 28 inches since we're starting at the 3. That's going to be our bridge location, but we've got to add that 16th. And then we came up with 20-30 seconds. So we're not going to get super precise because we've got a little bit of wiggle room and that we can raise and lower the bridge, but we want to be reasonably accurate. So we're gonna add, no, we're gonna get 20-30 seconds. Nope. We're going to add an 1/8 inch. And the reason we're adding that 1/8 inch is because if for some reason we want to lower it, neck bow, something doesn't come out right, we can bring it down. We've got an 1/8 inch of wiggle room. We can bring this guy up quite a bit. So if we need to raise him, it's not a big deal. Now, did I grab the wrong one? I did. I grabbed the base side. See, this is what happens. This is why I'm filming it all, so you guys don't get frustrated when you do this stuff. It's not overwhelming. It honestly isn't that significant at all. Now we're going to do our body joint. He is going to be, what do we got here, the 21st? I'll call it the 21st. Look at me dripping sweat everywhere. So 25, 24, 3, 2, 1. That's going to be where our body joint's going to be. Our fretboard is going to be about 1/4 inch thick. Once again, it's a give or take. So we're going to draw our fretboard thickness on here. And once again, if you're the kind of person who wants to draw your neck and you want to draw your headstock break, but we're going to break it at 9 degrees. So it's not even really that important to me. Where did I put it? Fretboard's here. No, I should have marked it. Okay, this is the end of the fretboard. So the next thing we're going to look at, and we're joining, I said we're at the, just double check, 21st. So we can more or less get a fairly decent idea here. Now we want to draw this line to this line. And this, right in between these two, that's going to be your neck angle. So, next step is to extend out our lines. Make sure we try and do a neat job of it, because I didn't draw them long enough. We'll extend out this guy. And then we take out the trusty protractor. And make sure everything is lined up. Boom, boom, boom. And we have here, come on. Sorry, you gotta look at the top of my gray balding head. No, right. Looks like about 3 degrees. So when we set this up and we cut the neck pocket, looking at the side of the guitar here, this should actually be all slid over and everything should be lined up. But when we cut the neck pocket, basically it's going to be 3 degrees tilted back. So when we look at the flat of the guitar top, and this is the inside of the pocket here, it's going to be tilted this way, right here, down 3 degrees, which is not very much at all, actually. So that is pretty much getting the guitar planned out, knowing where the target is. The thing is, this is a very fluid process to build a guitar by hand. You're not looking for 1000% repeatability. If we were, I would be drawing every aspect and building every template I could to just basically pop in, route, pop off, pop on, cut, pop off, and it wouldn't even be a matter of any thought really once I made all the different templates and made the first prototype. The other thing is, when it comes to this stuff, like I was saying, I tend to leave it up and look at it and figure out what I'm doing, and I already did that, so that's what I came out with. That's the design I like. It's probably going to be a volume tone, but like I said, it's fluid. I'm probably going to change it. But that is my end goal right there as far as the top of the guitar. The side of the guitar with the break, I did the math, did the work on right there. And as far as the headstock and the body, I mean, as long as you follow the simple rules, anything's possible. You always want to think about how the guitar feels when you sit with it. Some guitars I've sat with were miserable. Some Magic Phone. Some guitars I sat with were just absolutely comfortable, and you'd think they were miserable. Iceman being one of the ones I thought would be miserable to actually sit down and play, and I absolutely love the way it feels. So with all that said, I hope this gives you an idea. Don't be hard on yourself when you're doing this the first time. There's always a desperate learning curve. I know there was for me. And have a good afternoon.